News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis. Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
Welcome to Tool Talk Radio, everybody. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning.
I'm Allan Gilbreth, darkoakmedia.com.
And I'm Maximilian. And not only do I continue to wish our Puffling listeners the best of luck during Puffling season, but I want to also wish you a very happy, great egg toss day. Believe it or not, that's a sport.
Great egg toss day.
I have to sadly confess I have participated in Egg Toss Day a few times.
Okay, so what is that? Because I've heard of carrying the egg and spoon race.
Yep.
They talk about that with P.G. Woodhouse.
Yep.
But,
Well, this was another of just how far can you toss that little darling?
Well, I guess it's easy to determine, too, because wherever it splats, it's easy to measure that,
Well, but
right?
you got to catch it.
Oh, okay.
See, you and I would be a team, and we would start at 5 yards. And if you catch the egg, then we move to 6 yards. If I catch the egg, we move to 7 yards.
Okay, got
so
it.
you find out how hard and softly you can throw something.
So this is like a trust exercise, too, right? Because I could see you like, okay, hold on, and wheeling back.
Absolutely drilling somebody off their seat. That happens on occasion.
Okay, that sounds pretty good, Max. So it's egg toss day.
Great egg toss day.
I don't get why it's great.
Maybe it's because it's the championships.
Okay. All right. That would be a fun one of those competitions to see on ESPN. Like the full on.
Oh, it's
where they
hilarious.
have the high production and the announcers and everything. And
That would stress me out.
It needs to be up there with the Soapbox Derby Rally.
yeah.
Which is absolutely hilarious if you've never seen that.
Mm-hmm.
And the Great British Baking Show.
Okay, Max, we might get if you've ever participated in any unique exercises with eggs, we'd love to hear from you today. So, and not Deuce, because we don't know what he might have done with those eggs.
Oh, I want to know.
Yeah, who knows
Well,
where they wound
anybody
up.
that ever took an engineering class has had to safely deliver the egg.
Oh, I remember, not to milk this, not to beat this
I
into
thought
the ground,
that's home
but
ec.
I remember in high school there was some class where they had people take care of an egg because it was supposed to teach
That
you
was
about
parenting class.
parenting
yes.
classes, like what it's like to take care of a child. Very delicate and all. Okay,
Well, engineering is how to deliver an egg because we're going to drop it from 30 feet.
there you go. Okay, well, that's a good one, Max. I like that. So, well, Allan, this is a chock full list, so I can't over tease because I know we're not going to get to everything here. But I'm going to have to say there have been all sorts of revelations about my own home that I'm learning about in this current demolition that I'm doing there.
All right.
And I've realized that, as I've mentioned numerous times, my house was built in 1952. However, what I'm discovering is the homeowner that lived there during the 70s did a lot of renovation, and I'm falling victim to 70s construction in my own home. It's a little annoying, I gotta say.
I can laugh.
Yeah. So, and Max, you sort of, you had this is another one of our cosmic homeowner discussions. You mentioned something, and then I just sort of ran with it. It's something to do with the pecan trees, and I'm going to take this all the way to saving civilization. What do you think of that, Allan? So,
Okay. I'm good.
30 years of stupid. I hope we can get to this. We've been teasing it for 3 weeks about putting outside trim or inside trim on the outside. And in honor, so now, folks, it's September, and that means this officially kicks off the Halloween quadrant of the year for Allan Gilbreth. So, I mean, really, actually, we're probably late to the party, right? And you take at least 3 months to build up to.
I wait until September arrives. You got to leave August. You got to let the end of summer and the cicadas have their moment.
Okay. Well, this morning, it's funny. Right on schedule. It cooled off. There's
it's
leaves that are
beautiful.
falling. So in honor of that, in our Great Moments in Building History, we're going to talk about another Memphis institution, which is Elmwood Cemetery. If you haven't been to Elmwood Cemetery, go to one of those tours or go to one of those events where they have people do the reenactments and stuff.
Oh, you owe it to yourself.
Max, you'd love it there. It's really pretty. It's really, really interesting. So,
I used to do a segment about the criminal history of Memphis on one of our old shows, and I actually taught a lot of the people that I talked about were buried there.
Yeah, it's really an interesting place. So, and there's engineering and there's building considerations to when you're making a cemetery, obviously. And we have a lot more. I'm not going to even bother queuing it up, Alan, because you know what'll happen. But before we get to any of those things, let's get to our must-have item of the week, which, Alan, this one, I posted it. Actually, I was in the middle of posting it, and then but this is high end.
Yeah,
That's
not the freebie with somebody's name on it. That is a micro driver set.
Right.
Translation: it's miniature screwdrivers.
However,
that one features like a head to every known screw in the base of it, so you can swap them out. They're reversible. However, that one also has the spinning stabilizer right down towards the tip.
That's what I wanted to zero in on, because it's got a lot of things, Alan. It's got a lot, but go ahead. The stabilizer is what I immediately appreciated.
Anytime you're trying to work on something small, your hand wobbles a little bit unless you're like a high-end surgeon somewhere. Mm-hmm. Your hand wobbles and bounces, and of course, the places I'm trying to repair things, I'm usually 8 foot up a ladder. I'm out on a piece, dangling over something. So you're not the most stable positions ever. And what you can do is hold the swivel. There's a little spot that's textured, designed for you to hold it, and the entire unit spins inside of that little sleeve.
Yeah.
And that, oh my gosh, is life-changing. Especially when it's that small
flathead. A flathead would be kind
that
would
one
pop
is
out.
just
Well,
as a matter
you're
of
trying to repair your eyeglasses, and you're trying to,
Well, this was actually a production sprayer that I was working on this week, and it was kind of at an odd angle, but it had one of those recessed pressure screws.
Yeah.
That was, a flathead.
Yep.
So nobody could hit it. Nobody could get in there. So I'm like, I'll be right back. Go out to the truck, grab my little set, come back in, lay down on the counter so I can get behind the pressure sprayer, and unloosen that little darling, slide the little part out that we needed to remove, slide the new part back in, tighten that baby back up. Done in 5 minutes.
I don't want to oversell this, Alan. Okay, and by the way, folks, as Alan was talking, I finished the post, so it's up on Facebook if you want to check it out. But this thing is extremely handy. I counted. There's the extra little shaft that instead of having to go to a separate box to grab the other hex heads here, this one has it right there in the handle, so you can take it out. It even has a little spring-loaded feature to kind of push it out so you can get to it. But there's a total of 5 slots, but these are double-sided. So there's 10. So there's a total of 12 drivers here.
Yes.
And this has a really good combination, too. It's got not only just the flathead and the Phillips head, it's got the, what do they call, it's got the square head, and it's got the
it's got the driver heads, it's got the
TSPs,
hex heads, it's got, and I discover that in a lot of, at least in the commercial setting, there's a lot of things that use those pressure screws.
Yeah.
They were more prevalent 20 years ago, but as you and I both know, this stuff is still installed somewhere.
And the second you strip those things, which is not hard to do, then you made them basically use. Getting it out is like 8 times harder.
Yeah.
So, but this is nice. I would say this one, depending on your line of work, this isn't the worst thing to spend the extra money on. I mean, how much did this cost? Because this looks like the more premium
that's about
model.
a $30 set. That was not the cheapy one that has somebody's advertising on it.
Yeah, literally, because that's where I got mine. Somebody was promoting I was at one of those home shows, and they had their logo on there. So it's obviously the cheapest one made, but
this is what they look like if you spend a lot of money on them.
Right.
And let's face it, for a tiny little screwdriver, $30 is a lot.
No.
However, I've had that set for, I would say, at least 20 years.
Yeah.
At least 20 years. And it's all still intact because, you're like the second person I've ever let hold it.
Oh, yeah. Well, because this thing would disappear in a second.
Oh, it'll go in someone's pocket and be gone.
Right. So, okay. Well, the micro driver is the premium micro driver, I would say, is our must-have item of the week. So, well, Allan, this is getting interesting here. As if you've been listening to Tool Talk for the last few weeks, I've been in the middle of I've been doing some demolition. We're finally updating our HVAC system after 70 years or whatever it is, and what I'm doing is to prepare for it. I've worked out a deal with the contractors where I'm basically doing all the grunt work. I'm giving them access to all of the air ducts and things like that. But what I'm really discovering is I've told you that when I get to heaven, I'm going to find the guy that did all the plumbing in my house and punch him in the face. Well, I'm going to find out the guy who who converted our upstairs from an attic space into 2 extra bedrooms and a bathroom, because boy, did they cut corners. So I'm bringing this into the 21st century, but it's a painful delivery.
Would you call it a confession?
Yeah. So we're going to talk a little bit about more of my demolition woes when we come back here on Tool Talk Radio.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
Your house isn't haunted, you're lonely.
News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis.
Allan, you've had to deliver that
more
statement
than
before.
one occasion. Oh my God.
Oh yeah. And welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, everybody. I'm Joe Thorderson with Doors Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Allan Gilbreth from darkoakmedia.com and our pal Max over there behind the glass. And if you're just tuning in, this is good. Today is Great Egg Toss Day, and maybe that's the way to celebrate. Just get out there, chuck some eggs at each other.
Just don't let it be puffin eggs, because it's still puffling season.
Yeah, I mean, don't use some endangered species or things like I guess a penguin only lays 1 egg a year, right? So don't waste it.
You're not going to Antarctica for this competition.
Okay, yeah, just a good, clean, fun, and throw some eggs at each other. So, well, Max, I don't even know what to cue this up with. There's like 4 segments in one here, so I'm just gonna let you pick the sound clip you want.
I've called you all here because I need some honest answers.
Okay.
Yeah, they all kind of broke. So, when do I start?
There is a basket of oil-soaked rags above a wood-burning stove.
Are you out of your mind? You put a jet engine on a lawnmower?
This time, they are going to be held accountable. This time, they are the ones who will pay.
Okay, so I guess that's a 30 years of stupid, but that's
a
part of
confession.
it. Yeah. Oh, that's the confession. It's multi-layered.
But
so
they
It's
will
all
pay.
blurred together.
But they will pay.
Oh, somebody's paying. Well, I feel like I'm the one paying. So, but anyway, so what I'm discovering, folks, is I'm doing this renovation. Like I said, the big. What I'm doing is I have to give access to all of the vents in our house, and what's tricky is our house is Cape Cod, which, if you don't know what that means, folks, it means basically I don't have an attic, so to speak.
No.
I have one attic that is about 2 feet tall and about 2 feet across that nobody's going in, and it's at the very peak of the house. I don't even call that an attic. So upstairs, and so all of my ductwork has to be very strategically placed in between rafters and between, and in my hallway, for example, where the unit's going to be, the ceiling is about 18 inches lower because it's like a false ceiling,
Right.
And everything inside there is the ductwork. So I mentioned that a couple weeks ago I removed a 16-foot run in my living room. I had to take out 16 feet of ceiling, and it was only about 16 inches wide. I thought it would take me an hour, and it took me 7 hours because it had this miserable wire mesh cement stuff, and it was exhausting and dirt. It was just awful. But Allan, the ceiling in the hallway came down in about 20 minutes. It put up no fight. It made a little bit of a mess, but I had it contained. The cleanup took longer than the demolition.
Okay.
Okay, so that part is all hunky-dory, but what it revealed was shocking and appalling. And so I've got.
If this was a 70s renovation, I can imagine what was under there.
I doubt this guy was calling code enforcement either. Because,
No.
Okay, so Allan, first of all, we know that in HVAC you want. For example, you want these are in the days before ductwork was insulated. So that's strike one. You literally have a metal, whatever.
Yep.
So well, this guy, he ran one for the upstairs bedroom straight up into this little 2-foot attic space. And then did a loop around, like almost like a periscope. And I always wondered why that room always felt so chilly and never really had very good airflow. Okay, well,
now you know.
It gets worse. So you know those vents, and you don't see this so much these days. You see it in older houses, but you know the vents for your HVAC where the old style was, if it's closed, obviously it's closed, but when you open, it's a solid piece of sheet metal that sort of flips open at a 45-degree angle. Well, the way this guy had it designed was that if you opened the vent, it cut off the airflow. It blocked the vent. I've lived there 23 years and never knew this. Because who would have thought to take that? It never even occurred to me that somebody would be this dumb to do that. And so, so have you ever seen any? I mean, it just got worse and worse. And I'm like, okay, we're gutting all of this and we're going to put it in correctly. But
I'm reminded of a closet in an office in a retail store that all summer long the closet was a refrigerator.
Yeah.
There's no air vent in it. There's no air vent, right? There's no air circulation, but yet the closet in the center of this building was absolutely, I mean, you could keep jams and jellies in there. And
I'm going to write down my guess here and see if I'm right. So okay.
So it comes time to renovate the building. We're working on the building, and I pop open the back paneling wall.
Yeah.
And guess what we found?
Go ahead.
No,
I wrote it down, but I want you to tell me because I just want to see. This is like a game show. I want to see if I'm right.
What we found was an AC tube just dangling in the spot.
Hey, I got it right because I wrote here no vent, so they just ran the tube into the stud.
Let it swing. It's blowing back and forth. And I'm like, did you ever hear any knocking or something? He goes, yeah, I thought I had squirrels. And I said, no, that was your air conditioning.
They had it just blowing right into
in between the studs. Into a void.
Wow. Holy smokes, man.
And there was enough room back there. The scary part is we actually doubled the size of the closet because there was like a big void in the middle of the building.
Right.
I don't know what they plan to do with that, but they just left. You know, the air conditioning had been running into this void for like 30 years.
Isn't that something?
And, and how much did that cost you in your electricity bill? Just ACing the attic. Just going crazy.
Yeah, I'm just thinking of what else. So it never mildewed or no?
We won't even get into that. We'll just leave it as we found the air duct just hanging and blowing, swinging back and forth, just swaying in the breeze.
Well, it gave me a revelation because I was thinking about something, and I don't know. I think I'm remembering this correct. But Allan, you and I remember I was a kid in the 70s, and I don't know if I lived in Chicago, and at the time there was this big trend of taking an attic space and finishing it out and making it into a room.
Oh, yeah.
And doing that for the basement as well. So
whole TV shows on PBS about it.
Oh, right. Yeah. And so this was sort of a trend, and I feel like my homeowner back in the 70s, whoever owned my house before, fell into this. I mean, I'm glad they did because it added, a lot of extra space in our house. It turned a 2-bedroom house into a 4-bedroom, 2-bath house. So I'm happy about that, but I wish he didn't cut all these corners. But I guess what I'm wondering is, did you, and it's 70s, let's face it,
it's a little fast and loose.
I don't think there was a whole lot of, like I said, consultation with the code enforcement or anything back then. So I think they got around a lot of things. But what occurred to me, because mostly I'm thinking of this vent, this idiocy of putting a vent in where if you open it, it literally cuts off the airflow. And so what it got me thinking about is because, we know that there's young homeowners out there that are all, we've done it ourselves. You buy your first home. And you start putting together your checklist of your priorities and everything like that. And something like this would never even have occurred to me. I've lived here 23 years, Allan, and I should know this stuff. It just never occurred to me somebody would do this. But it's almost like I feel like you got to do a very close examination of your home. And it might even pay to bring somebody in that could consult with you and just look over everything, because they could identify things maybe you don't, and maybe your fix it up priority is going to change. You're like, okay, the first thing I'm doing is I'm fixing these vents, or
Well, all right,
So-
I'll tie you into a little bit of its Halloween season.
Okay.
And periodically I have been known to go on a ghost hunt, and I am Captain Buzzkill on these things because I bring things like laser thermometers.
Right.
And EMF meters. And, if you...
Wait, what's an EMF?
Electrical... Blah, 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 blah. Let me get my new teeth in here. Electrical magnetic fields.
Right.
So...
Which is called... Yeah, and that can... You feel that as a human being. So,
if you've got a wall socket going bad, if it's developing resistance, it's going to be warm.
So you're the guy who literally says your house isn't haunted, you're lonely.
I literally am. I'm the one that tells you don't have a demon, you have a raccoon. You would be
and
better.
all that footage they just spent all night shooting.
Well, raccoons
is
are
useless.
demons.
And I say you'd probably be better off with the other critter, not the raccoon.
Right.
We'll dive a little deeper into this, but walking through a home with a couple of basic diagnostic tools could possibly save you from burning down your house.
Yeah. Well, in frustration and just not, because now what's exciting at this point is we're getting all of these problems fixed. We're sealing up voids we didn't even know we had. We're getting it into the 21st century, but it would have been nice to do this 20 years ago. But, what are you going to do? So, but yeah, we're going to continue to unpack this because it's important, and especially if you're a new homeowner, or maybe you're like me, you're a veteran homeowner and you're making new discoveries. So we'll talk about that when we come back here on Tool Talk Radio.
I can't believe how spotless my floors look after using the Swiffer Power Mop. No more dragging around a heavy mop and messy bucket. Now I get the same deep clean without all the work. Thanks to the powerful solution and scrubbing pad of the Swiffer Power Mop, dirt and grime don't stand a chance, and I don't break a sweat. Mic drop. Mop drop.
Swiffer Power Mop. Swiffer Power Mop.
A smarter way to mop. Try it or your money back.
This weekend, Kohl's is giving away millions in Kohl's Cash in store. It's like you're getting free shopping money. At least that's what I tell my husband. Yep, you're just making smart financial decisions, one trendy sweater at a time. Plus, all month, enter our online sweepstakes at Kohl's.com for a chance to win $200 Kohl's Cash. Some exclusions apply while supplies last. Giveaway ends September 7th. Sweepstakes ends September 30th, 2025. No purchase necessary. 20 winners per day. Limit one prize per person for entire sweepstakes. See Kohl's.com for official rules and details.
Memphis, get ready to laugh out loud. Comedian Gene Marco Sorcy is hitting the stage at the High Tone Cafe September 23rd. Show 1 is already sold out, so get your tickets for Show 2 at 9 p.m. This is one night you don't want to miss. Get your tickets now at 901tix.com.
Grown-ups, don't go back to school. Go forward through school into your future as an IT professional. Whether you're starting out, switching careers, or a veteran ready for change, My Computer Career can help you get into IT in just a few short months with no prior experience. So take the free career evaluation now at mycomputercareer.edu. Your rewarding career in IT awaits. That's mycomputercareer.edu, an elite CompTIA certification partner. Financial aid is available to those who qualify, including the VA benefits.
There's nothing worse than losing cell service while exploring the great outdoors, but that's changing fast. T-Mobile is bringing coverage to the most remote parts of the country with T-Satellite with Starlink, reaching over 500,000 square miles where towers can't, thanks to over 650 satellites.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
We have radon coming from below. We have asbestos in the ceilings. These are silent killers.
You are the silent killer.
News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis.
Sounds like your house.
Yeah, it's getting there. And welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, everybody. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Allan Gilbreth from darkoakmedia.com. And our pal Max over there behind the glass. And if you're just tuning in, well, today is the Great Egg Toss Day. And later in the show, Max has there's a second holiday we're gonna showcase, but you gotta stay tuned.
Technically third, because we're still honoring puffling season.
Okay, and the pufflings are just still on the table.
To our listeners out in Iceland that are part of the puffling patrol, good luck. We're counting on you.
Yeah, they're cool birds, so we always celebrate those guys. So what we're talking about at the moment is, I was doing some demolition work at my house, which was revealing all sorts of ineptitude from the past. And I hate to say it, Alan, just typical 70s construction is manifesting itself in my own home. And I'm shocked and appalled at what I'm finding. But
I thought it's called managing your expectations.
Yeah, I should have. But anyway, so we're going to, I bought the house from a unique individual, so I had pretty managed expectations, Max. But anyway, we're going to continue that conversation in just a second. But before we do, we want to talk about our good friends over at Groundworks because, Alan, this is big. They have a grand opening coming up. I mean, it's not that they're opening their business. This is just sort of one of these pomp and circumstance events they're doing. So on September 17th from 12 to 1, pretty short, short celebration because they get back to work.
They're going to be a short party, but they're busy.
But the owner of Groundworks, because this is a big company, folks. This is nationwide. Matt Malone is coming in. He's going to shake hands, kiss babies, and take pictures and meet everybody. They're going to give away a bunch of swag, and it's going to be kind of a party over there at Groundworks. So it's at 1160 East State Line Road. It's easy. Just Google it, too. I'm sure it's easy. State Line Road is not that hard to find. Just go right off of 55
head to Mississippi.
There.
Yeah, head to Mississippi.
Head down, and then I think you take a left when you get there. But if you have issues if you can't make it to the celebration, we still encourage you to get in touch with Groundworks because they are the foundation experts. Our foundations come in all shapes and sizes: basements, crawl spaces, slabs, stilts. We've even seen that, but and combinations of all three of those and foundation problems. Well, foundation health is what I'd really like to. That's what we want for your home because when you have a healthy foundation. Then everything else, you have to have a healthy foundation. But foundation problems can manifest themselves in all sorts of unusual ways. The squeaks is a really good indicator on your floors, sagging floors especially, musty smells, unusual odors, those stair-step cracks that you see in your walls and in your bricks. Any of those could indicate a problem with your foundation, and they never get better with age. So what we recommend is contacting our friends over at Groundworks. For one thing, this is a free inspection, but it's a pretty comprehensive inspection. They bring their detecting equipment. They are going to do a full-on examination of your foundation and then share the results with you. And hopefully you get a nice, clean bill of health. But whatever the problems with your foundation, from big to small, they can help you with that. And then you'll be an informed homeowner, and you can make a plan and take care of it effectively. So, and the visit is free, so it's really just kind of a no-brainer. So we encourage you to get in touch with our friends at Groundworks. You can call them at 901-459-2290 or go to groundworks.com and book your free inspection today. Well, Alan, you were in the middle of this discussion of what I'm discovering at my house. What it got me thinking about is just the importance of being informed. We sometimes we live with things, they're right there in the room with us, and we're just not aware of them. And I think information is key. And just and you've had to deliver unpleasant information to people sometimes. Like ghost hunters and stuff when they want to, when they think that the house is haunted, you're informing them.
Yeah.
Sorry, you got a bad electrical current
there is an old TV show from about 25 years ago with the classic line, you don't need an exorcist, you need an electrician.
Yeah.
All right, let's look at your average. Let's just, people are listening to us right now. They're having breakfast. They're in the nook right there. Now just look around you right there. You got windowsills. You got doors. You got door frames. You got electrical outlets. You've got an air vent probably somewhere close to you. And if you want to have some fun, honestly, it is actually a lot of fun. A laser thermometer is you just pull the little trigger on it. It puts a little red dot somewhere on a wall or an item, and it comes back and tells you the temperature of that item. And this is a very important diagnostic tool for anybody. If you're buying a house, let's say you've been in the house for 20 years. it might be time, and fall is a great time because it's not so hot now.
Right.
You know, you can have the windows open, you have less electrical being used. It's a pretty good time to kind of go around and randomly check stuff.
I would say the winter is like the ideal time because you might point it at an electrical outlet and it's like, why is it 20 degrees cooler right here? Well, you know, because it's exposed to the outside. Now you have this draft coming in, and it would be super. You could fix it with a little
and
insulation.
now you go outside and you discover you got a crack between this brick and that, and it's letting cold air jet straight in.
Yeah.
And if it's getting into the house there, is it getting to a pipe? Can it freeze a pipe for you?
Yep.
Can it, so there's just a lot of just little, and I'm not going to say you got to be paranoid about this, but just one of these little light. Go walk around the house, play with one of these things, and if you have and let's just be blunt, if your electrical outlets are 30 years old or older, it's time to change out and upgrade.
Yeah, and if you have an older home, chances are there may not even be insulation in the walls. You know,
there may not.
Yeah.
So
I'd say, and where do you get one of those? Because I think those would be a cool tool to have.
And they're inexpensive. The other thing is, this is a cheap toy.
Okay.
And this is not $90. These are like $20.
Okay. I think that's a must-have item.
And
sure.
I'll bring one in next week. And they're just. All right, one, they're just fun. All right, don't aim it at anybody. Don't look in it. It's a laser. People have some common sense. But it will inform you because the cool thing is turn on your air conditioning.
Yeah.
Turn on your air conditioning and shoot your vents.
There you go.
Another biggie that people totally forget about is not the blower into the room. How does the air get back in the air conditioner?
The return vent, yeah.
The return vent, is it drawing? Because I was out of a house, this is probably about 10 years ago, and they were the downstairs is always so dank. So I took the screen off the return, and I guess upstairs had been hot at some point in time. Mm-hmm. So somebody took a piece of cardboard and put it in the return downstairs. So it would only draw air.
It didn't tell anybody.
Yeah, and then moved, didn't tell anybody. And would only draw air from the upstairs. And I'm like, okay, an air conditioner must have the proper amount of air in order to operate.
Right.
So no wonder your air conditioning's been struggling the whole time you've lived here. It's only been getting half its return.
There you go.
So welcome to just basic things. If it's been out of sight, it has probably been out of mind.
Yeah, and the other thing too. Well, that's a good example too of like if you're moving things around your room, or if you have teenagers or something, make sure they're not just putting things right in front of the air return where it can't. You gotta keep you gotta let the house breathe basically. So, but I'm thinking too, Allan, of the thing you mentioned about the laser pointer was the thermometer was something I was thinking of too, because for example, we have a living room that's got these big picture windows. It's a cool space, but for the first few years we were there, we didn't think about it, but that room got really drafty. And then we started taking proactive measures to kind of, I guess I would say, winterize that window and cut down on the drafts. And it's noticeable. And it's nice when you have that, it's not freezing in this room. It's like,
exactly.
But I also think, I've come to the point with home ownership where I assume everything at some point is going to have to be accessed again, and everything at some point is going to fail. And I sort of work that into whenever I'm putting something new in, or when I'm thinking about doing something, I'm like, okay, I'm not going to, because this air vent that I talked about earlier is a perfect example. This air vent goes up into a space that basically what we had an unfinished attic space, storage, and the guy that built it, he stuck it in there, and then he covered the whole thing with sheetrock, and you would never be able to access it again without ripping everything apart. And that's bad design. You should just assume that everything you're going to get to, or everything you've put in at some point, is going to have to be accessed. So.
I think this brings up an even bigger question that might have to belong to a separate segment itself. The idea of building with the future in mind and accessibility in mind, especially with like other, not even just homes, but with cars.
Oh, I think, yeah. Well,
Lego is
exactly.
the answer.
Exactly. Modular and, yeah.
Well, these days we have these wonderful plumbing panels.
Yeah.
You know, you go to the big box store, you've seen them, and it's just a frame with a little plastic panel in the middle of it that pops out. These are absolutely amazing.
Exactly. Yeah. Do your future self a favor. So, but anyway, we'll keep you posted on the drama as it continues over at my house. But when we come back, we're going to find out what Allan did this week.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
Now, this is the forklift. You need a license to operate this machine. That means the upstairs office workers can't drive it. Quiz, Mike. Should you drive the forklift?
I can and I have.
No.
News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis.
And welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, everybody. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Allan Gilbreth from darkoakmedia.com and our pal Max over there behind the glass. And if you're just tuning in, today is the Great Egg Toss Day, and shortly we're going to be learning about a wildlife holiday that's I think is pretty relevant to the Mid-South. We're saving that for the second hour of the show, so stay tuned, everybody. And we are in the middle of National Puffling season, so... And also, I was sharing some of my demolition woes. Actually, it's not, Allan. It's unpleasant, but it's an empowering situation. By dismantling my home and seeing the guts of this place, I'm discovering all the mistakes that this previous homeowner of mine back in the 70s, did, and I'm fixing them. It's kind of cool to be fixing them, but...
Well, and you see how things have changed, and we've got so much... We honestly have so much better access to better stuff.
Well, that's true.
I mean, let's face it.
In technology.
50 years ago, 70 years ago, paint was a certain chemical combination. Today, it's you're not stuck with the 40 colors they have on the wall. They can make anything. What is it? 16,000 different colors with the tints they can do.
Right.
You walk in, any color paint you want. If you had a sweater that you like the color of, you could have it color tested. And, so the technology
you can snap
is
a
amazing.
picture of your room and then say, put this color on the wall, put that color.
Yeah.
There's an app you can preview your paint color.
So we have so many advantages, and also we have so much better materials.
Yeah.
We've got concrete-based foam board. We've got hardy board. We've got interior and exterior designed materials specifically for certain areas. We've got things designed for bathrooms. And goodness gracious, if you go to any of the, and I'm going to have to call them big box specialty stores, because there's big box tile stores, there's big box flooring stores. And we have got choices now you couldn't imagine 50, 60 years ago.
That's true. Yeah.
And it's a lot safer. It's a lot better. We're not dealing with lead anymore. We're not dealing with asbestos. We're not dealing with just all kinds of horrible stuff that, was just part of everyday life, 50s, 60s, the 40s. And these are still in houses. And, you and I were talking off air, and Memphis had a tremendous amount of growth post-World War II.
I mean, that's where the suburbs came from, right?
The
50s is where the suburbs actually became a thing.
Memphis started rolling.
Yeah.
And, and it's time to look at your home because, then the next big wave was in the 70s. We had another big wave in the 90s. And, the shocking little fact is, for some of us, we talk about the 90s. All right, the 90s were 30 years ago.
90s seems like it was yesterday. And it was 30 years ago.
Yeah, it's kind of like, your house is probably older than you think it is, than it feels.
Yep.
So there's so much to diving in here. And again, take your laser pointer, go check out some temperatures. See if your house is And I want to throw in, occasionally it's not a major renovation that you need. Occasionally it's maybe some spray foam.
Yeah, or a tube of caulk or something.
You know, a little something needs to be updated, and it can make such a huge difference to your comfort.
Yeah, don't ignore little, things that could grow into something worse. So
You were mentioning the idea if your house might be older than you think. That makes me think of the fact that you're not even including the house, but the earth on which the house rests too might be older than you think, because you might be inheriting the, let's just call it the carpentry sins of like hundreds of years ago.
And I have friends in Boston that basically is I know it's not the oldest city in America, but it is the biggest one that's had the most people for the longest period. And the strange things they discover from 100 years ago, 150, 160, 200 years ago and that's nothing compared to some of our listeners like in the UK. A friend of mine in the UK loves to laugh at me when I say like, oh, this was 200 years old.
Yeah, they're like, hold my beer.
Yeah, her house, her house is 600 years old.
Right.
And you crack up and they go, yeah, you don't dig too deep.
Isn't that cute? Yeah.
Yeah, you don't dig too deep anywhere because then you run into, I don't know, the Picts, the Romans, like going,
right.
Okay, we don't have that problem. But you are right, Max. You never really know what happened. In the South, of a lot of people that think, these woods have been here forever. And I can look at the size of the trees and go, no, this whole woodland area is less than 50 years old.
Right.
Because you don't have any 200-year-old trees on it. This was all cleared.
Yeah.
And was probably some kind of farmland 100 years ago. So, when you get into the history of these things, and as we've discussed many times, especially with our buddies over at Groundworks, dirt moves.
Oh, yeah.
Stuff changes. Things shift, and never a bad idea to go walk around the house, make sure things are draining like they're supposed to drain, check and look for cracks, especially as we get into the fall here. It's nice outside. You want to be outside anyway. Not a bad time to check all this stuff.
Yeah. Did you have something, Max?
I was just going to say, it makes me think of the idea of, you could have a house that's less than 50 years old, maybe even less than a decade old, but it still rests on the foundation of something that's hundreds of years older. Like you said, in the UK, you could have like a modern house built on top of an ancient foundation in the UK.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
It is sort of interesting to think about, Max, because now that you're saying it, and I know we got to get to Allan's weekend review, but, we did a little research into, I think, parts of Colonial Acres. In fact, I've made discoveries in my own backyard. Was at one point during the Civil War like a medical stop. I think it was like a tree. It was like a MASH unit almost right by where we lived. And I found some old bottles and things in my backyard when I've dug up. So you think about something that was here 150 or 200 years ago, it's probably 8 or 10 inches below your feet, right? I mean, it's not that far away. It's very interesting.
There are certain parts of town where if you dug down a couple of feet, you would start finding arrowheads.
Right. Pretty interesting.
So we've got an interesting history here in the Mid-South, but I'm going to speak to everybody that listens to us around the world, because we've made it from, honestly, Libya to the Czech Republic. Mm-hmm. We got folks all around the world that tune into Tool Talk. And, certain parts of the world, you have thousands of years of history, honestly, that might be buried in your backyard.
Pretty interesting stuff, man. So, yeah. So my recommendation, forget home improvements. Just go get a bulldozer and just tear up your yard and see what kind of treasures you can find.
I'm rubbing my hands together, Joe, waiting for you to find on your property like muskets and like mini rounds.
I'm very tempted because I've already found things, Matt. I found a bottle that looks like it's a medicine bottle from the Civil War, and it's like, I don't know. It is sort of tempting to get out there and just and see what you can find.
Hey, those metal detectors are a lot of fun.
Yeah. So, well, coin, things like that, they'd
you
still
can
be
find
there.
all kinds of interesting stuff. Because that actually kind of ties into my weekend review because I've been tackling the front porch from a very long time ago.
Oh, perfect.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, well then that's the perfect.
It's been an archaeological dig going through this thing.
Okay, well that's the perfect lead in, folks. So okay, well, hour one of Tool Talk Radio is in the can, but when we come back, yes, we're going to find out what Allan did this week, and it sounds like it involves a little archaeology.
News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis. Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
And welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, everybody. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Allan Gilbreth from darkoakmedia.com and our pal Max over there behind the glass. And if you're just tuning in, today is a great egg toss day. We hope you're out celebrating appropriately, throwing eggs in a sportsmanlike way and not whipping them at people and trying to break them. So.
Unless you're in Scotland, where the tradition is during a wedding they throw eggs at the couple.
That sounds very Scottish, Allan. That's your people, right? Is that on brand or what?
They
Nothing better for the bride. They get all decked out and then you whip eggs at them.
There's some odd traditions over there.
Okay, but Max, we've been saving this. We've been sitting on this. This is another holiday, right?
Well, it's also National Hummingbird Day.
Now, there we go. That's, to me, pretty relevant here, especially at Tool Talk. Everybody loves a hummingbird, right? I mean... And the new thing is that people are trying to catch it, like where you have like a hummingbird helmet with a feeder on it, so you can sit real still and see if it'll land on you. But Allan, you said there's benefits to having hummingbirds, right?
Well, they do more than just eat nectar. If you've ever seen a hummingbird nest, it's a tiny, tiny little thing made out of spider web.
I didn't know that. I really don't know much about their nesting
they
habits.
Have teeny, tiny little eggs. They're kind of cute. But hummingbirds are, for as small as they are, shockingly aggressive.
Oh, yeah.
They are some dog-fighting little critters out there over the food supply. And the other thing is they're very aggressive with other things that fly around their size. Moths, butterflies, and wasp.
Good. Well, I don't mind the wasp. I mean, I like moths, but yeah.
Well, but they you know, they're not really big enough to duke you out and take you out, but they one of the job sites. Well, actually, one of the job sites I got is in a rural area, and there are a lot of wasp. Wasps are everywhere, and they're constantly on the deck. And I've constantly got people diving, ducking, running, you know. Mm-hmm. And so I put a hummingbird feeder out on the front sill, out in front of the deck, and it hangs out over the middle of everything. And of course, in a rural area, there's lots of hummingbirds. They found it. And one of the first things you noticed, you got hummingbirds, you don't have a lot of wasp.
Makes me think of like a signal flare. You're summoning the troops.
And it says, well, you know, they just don't. Hummingbirds just don't play that. They're very aggressive little guys, and they shoo things away that they don't want nearby. So now I do have to go get the crew out there from watching them.
Right.
Because they're funny. They're hilarious. They're carrying on everywhere. But now I don't have people diving for cover every time a wasp flies by.
Well, and the other thing we've learned about hummingbirds, because my wife, for a while she got into the whole hummingbird feeder thing.
Oh,
but
yeah.
It's a commitment, because you don't just stick it out there and come back a month later. So this is like every other day she was changing it out or shooing and it can go bad. You don't want to feed them sour, fermented, whatever.
Get in it.
So if you're going to do that, be aware this is a commitment. So you got to be you
got to be a little diligent about it. But they are so rewarding and hilarious.
So today's National Hummingbird Day. So we would love to hear hummingbird stories, or pictures are always good, or video.
Well, even that. I also like to dramatically feature hummingbird feeders as a part of any landscaping that I do.
So you don't mind the maintenance of this. You're happy to get out there and change the feeders.
Absolutely. They are pretty much my favorite non-edible bird.
I mean, I suppose you could get an appetizer out of them.
I know.
Yeah, you're not going to be cooking hummingbirds.
No.
Okay. All right. Well, that's on the table. But let's get into it. We've delayed long enough.
Oh, the humanity.
All right, let's find out what Allan did this week. Actually, I don't even think it was all that horrifying from what I could. I just base it on the pictures you sent me. So.
Well, yeah, I didn't send you a picture of what was underneath.
Uh-huh.
That was you know,
You sent the finished results.
What happened under the porch stays under the porch.
There
It's
you
kind
go.
of a thing. I did discover probably the largest nest of brown recluse spiders in 4 states, but
careful with that.
Oh yeah.
So now we're talking outside projects.
We're talking the outside. We're talking the front porch. All right, so we've made it all the way around the building. We've installed everything, and the last really big heavy lifting on this project is the front porch. And the front porch, heaven help it, was original to the property. It's been termited out. It's been just everything that could happen to this front porch has happened to this front porch. And so now it has also just been covered in construction decking for a couple of years while we finished everything else. But it is now time to make the front porch look good.
There you
so
go.
we're tearing these things out, and the treasure hunt archaeology began because there's at least 40 to 60 years worth of junk under this porch.
So this is one of they built the house and then they built the porch and just chucked all their garbage into it.
Let's just say we know where they buried the dead.
Did you find any RC Cola bottles and things like that?
Yes, as a matter of fact, there are a couple of actual glass soda bottles from years gone past underneath there. My assistant looked down and went, "Is that a router bit?" I'm like, yeah, it is. So we had to go fish out the router bit, and turned out to be a really good router bit.
Really?
Oh, yeah. So she scored about a $40 router bit. So, everybody's gone through there, and we've gotten most of the cinder blocks and weird, usable stuff out of there. But now it is time to begin putting in the deck. And, there's so many little considerations. And because, of course, this is an older building with a full renovation, nothing is square.
Yeah.
So you got to kind of pick, where do I want to hold my fight?
There you go.
So,
so you're putting stairs in, and nothing's
did.
level. So that sounds like a simple problem, but that involves a lot of geometry and a lot of thinking.
Getting the stairs to line up. Now, see, of course, everybody thought I was insane when we got the stair standards.
Yeah.
You can buy those at the big box store, right? But nobody can ever figure out how to install those unless you've done it a few times. The average person looks at it and goes, and I give up because it's just weird looking. And what I do is I take a 2x4.
Which is the top, which is the bottom.
Yeah, which is the top, which is the bottom. How long do they need to be? Where do they need to go? I cheat. I take a 2x4 and make somebody stand on it, come out and measure to the ground. Then I take 2 2x4s and lie them on either side of the stairs and measure again, and that is the height the stairs need to reach. And you can draw that line, and now you can within reason, cut your stairs and have them fit. First try every time.
Right.
So it's pretty easy, but the big thing is there's no law against overbuilding.
Well, these stairs look pretty good, Allan. I like the scale of them. They were wider and not as steep as like each step was not quite as steep, and it looked cool. Like to me, it just looked a little more modern and interesting.
Well, and the thing is, this is where everybody's got to come in with the groceries. This is where people. So instead of a little 36-inch set of stairs, we did a nice, relaxed 50-inch.
So it's a more gradual.
There's 3 standards under there. There's a standard in the center, so nothing bows. Everything's good and firm. And it is a gentle slope. This is not mountain climbing, because I assume when you get home, you're going to pick up the groceries and you're going to go up these stairs to get in the house.
Yeah, it's
So-
more user friendly.
I really tried to make them that. And of course, everybody's dying laughing at me when I've got all these 2x4s laid out and I'm measuring and conniving and cut. And of course, the bets were, how many tries was it going to take to get the stairs in? And of course, my assistant's over there running book on this.
So after all these years, they're still doubting you. It's pretty funny to me.
Well,
that
there's
every
always,
project, they're like second guessing your
Yeah,
ideas.
there's always
So
the
it's
new
like-
guy that goes, "Oh, nobody gets that right the first time," and then I got an assistant going,
You
"How
wanna-
much you want to put on
I'll
that?"
give you 5 to 1 on that.
I give you some odds on that, and of course it lined up. And the real magic was, I took the stairs off until we got the deck of the porch done. And now that magic little 1/4 of an inch, 1/2 inch that you're always off was now part of the stair design.
There you go. Yep.
So now when you go up these stairs, there's absolutely no gap between the back of the top stair and the deck.
No, it's
Just
nice, man.
smooth, beautiful, went in gorgeous. So
And the
this-
person that uses those stairs every day is going to appreciate it.
I hope so. We're going to put the handrail. The handrails are going to be really decorative.
Well, you gave me a thought about stairs with this project this week. So I want to mention that when we come back. And then, of course, in our great moments in building history, we're going to talk about really an institution here in Memphis, which is Elmwood Cemetery.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
I'm afraid the deflector shield will be quite operational when your friends arrive.
News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis.
I mean, if it's not operational, what use is it? I mean, sort of a no-brainer. And welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, everybody. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Allan Gilbreth from darkoakmedia.com and our pal Max over there behind the glass. And today is the Great Egg Toss Day. Nobody's gotten in touch with us about how they're celebrating that, Allan, and I hope however you celebrate it, you do it appropriately and tastefully and with sportsmanlike, aplomb. But it's also National Hummingbird Day, and Max, we got a text about that, right? So
Technically, we also got a text for the hummingbird, for the egg toss day.
Oh,
too.
good. Well, let's hear them both. So, okay.
Well, we got Denise texting in. Denise says, "Happy Saturday. Just saw a mini documentary about puffins, and I haven't played egg toss since I was a kid."
Well, I'm wondering what she thought of those puffins, because those things are interesting birds, really cool birds. So, all right. Well, thanks, Denise. That sounds pretty good. So, all right.
And then we got Norman Rockwell with the relevant thing with the hummingbirds. He says he sent a video of 2 hummingbird feeders. He says he goes through nearly 2 gallons of nectar a week in just the 2 feeders, and that this clip was taken during a slow part of the day. The slow part, because
I posted the picture on our Facebook a minute ago, and you can't really tell. It's kind of blurry. It looks like a Sasquatch video, but it looked pretty. It was pretty active, right, Max? I counted about 6 or 7, right?
Yeah, like it was pretty. What it kind of makes me think of, this is just sort of a science question. How are hummingbirds able to fly so smoothly and straightly like a helicopter?
Of a unique wing design and the ability to beat them shockingly fast. They are literally the helicopters of the bird world.
It's thousands of something per minute, right?
Their little revolutions per second is astounding. And the other thing I like to throw in is they eat more than just nectar. They also eat really small insects.
So you want hummingbirds
like
around. They get those mosquitoes.
And little flies and mosquitoes and stuff like that are also on their menu. So not only are hummingbirds fun, but they're also really good for your backyard.
Perfect.
I think it was pretty cool seeing how flexible a hummingbird nest is, because when I think of nests, I don't think of flexibility. And so it's funny that one of the smallest birds out there built with flexibility in mind, putting the other bigger birds to shame.
So, because you said it's made of like spider webs or something?
Yeah, it's made of spider silk.
So they collect. Boy, that's tricky in itself, grabbing that and organizing it and putting it together. So.
Although it's kind of a jerk move on the part of the hummingbirds because you're stealing a spider's nest.
Yeah, well,
it's like, here, let me have that.
It's cutthroat out there in nature. So, okay. But, hey, Alan, before we move along, I just wanted to say one thing because maybe we should post. I don't want to make a bigger issue out of these steps than we need to. But I was really impressed with the steps that you put on the front porch of this property because they were scaled differently. They were wider. They were the planks themselves were bigger, and they were closer together than normal. And I know it's a more practical it's a more comfortable stair step, but to me it added to it. It looked cooler, and I was just thinking about something. Sometimes when we want to make design. When we want something to be interesting, we start adding stuff. Like I just think of the period like when Mozart lived. Let's frill up every little stupid thing.
Yeah,
and I hate that. What I'm more a fan of is taking something and changing the dimensions or changing the proportion of it and, making an unusual curve in your ceiling or just something. Sometimes that is more important for a cool design than anything else.
Because when Allan was saying there's no law against overbuilding, it's like, all I'm thinking of is the Baroque era.
Yeah, but this is class. Max, you'd like this. This is more tasteful. You're
Very
taking
minimalist.
stairs. You're just changing the dimensions of it.
Very minimalist.
And front steps could be a decorative element for your house. They don't have to be just functional.
Oh yeah. Next week the picture will be drastically upgraded, but this week it was how do we get from the ground to in the house comfortably, safely, good looking, So, the client has a certain look they want. They have certain colors they've got picked out. So, yes, we are staining the deck, but we're only staining.
Right.
We're not painting. We're not sealing the wood.
There you go. So that's just something to think about. We're going to talk about the design, using proportion for design. So, but all right. Well, let's shift gears. Boy, this one I'm looking forward to.
And now, great moments in building history.
Alan, you don't even need Wikipedia on this one.
No,
do you?
I can do this one pretty much from memory for you. Let's go back to about 1852. We needed a cemetery.
You can't live without them.
People were dying to get in.
Yeah, you got all of it ready to go there.
Yeah. What year? I'm writing this down.
What is it?
Mid-1800s?
1852.
Okay.
1852, I do believe.
Yeah.
If memory serves me correctly. Yes. Memphis at rest since 1852.
The yellow fever came along after that, right?
We had already had several whacks at it, and actually some of the businesses downtown are built over what were original yellow fever mass graves.
Okay.
So they were moved. So Elmwood Cemetery came along, and it's just been there a very long time, and it is a great resource for being able to see especially when you get to the cottage, an original Gothic style cottage.
Yeah.
It's been there all along. This is an 80-acre facility. So I know you're driving along in downtown Memphis and you take this little weird right and you're kind of over by the stone pits and stuff. And then suddenly you're in this 80-acre facility. This is a huge place. And it is, as you drive around, you'll see every different influence of the ages.
Yeah. It's literally a time capsule.
It is era after era after era is represented here. And it starts right at the bridge. The bridge is nearly a minimalist Gothic style that just is, it's kind of unassuming. It's just a small gated, it looks like there should be a gate on it.
Yeah.
So it's got the two little standards on the side, the two lamps on top, and just a little drive over with the railings. And very 1860s Gothic style. It's not, you can definitely tell you're not crossing into something built a couple of weeks ago.
Right. I do got a question for you, Alan, because I mean I haven't lived here as long as you have, and actually I was sort of late to the game visiting Elmwood Cemetery. My wife and I went to one of those reenactments that they do where they have people. It's really interesting. They have people in the period accurate costumes talking about a person that might have been buried right there and talking about their life history. But when you pull up, okay, you think your GPS is broken. It's like, okay, there's a tile store over there. There's a warehouse here. It is not impressive at all when you pull up. But then, like you say, you hit this cool stone bridge. Do you know what was there before all these little industrial places? Because I kind of wish there was a little more pomp and circumstance leading up to Elmwood.
This was an industrial part of town, and this was kind of an idea that was born out of necessity because we needed the territory downtown, so the cemetery was moved a little further out, and that began the original birth of Elmwood.
Okay.
So, here we go. So it was started on 40 acres. After the Civil War, they bumped it up to 80, and it's just kind of basically where everybody wound up. Anybody that was anybody in Memphis wound up here. And because of that, when you take a tour of it, you get to see all of the different influences for the stonework,
right?
How people were taken care of, and there's just such a variety.
I have kind of two interesting cases in point from two completely different walks of life. There was a man by the name of Diggs Nolan who was a drug kingpin back in the Roaring '20s who's buried there, so his grave's a little bit more elaborate. While you have more of a pauper's grave for a man by the name of Charles C. Harrell, who was the very first cold case in Memphis.
Oh yeah, there's any number of of history in here, and actually, Alan, you just gave me an idea. I wanted to ask you about stonework because that plays a role here. So we're going to continue to unpack this. We're examining Elmwood Cemetery for our great moments in building history. You're listening to Tool Talk Radio. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
Hey, Nelson, he's really hurt. I think he broke his leg.
I said, ha!
News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis.
Sounds like he's ready for a trip to Elmwood.
Yeah, well, that's mean, man. Gosh, you always take things to extreme. So, and welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, everybody. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Allan Gilbreth from darkoakmedia.com and our pal Max over there behind the glass. And if you're just tuning in, there's a lot on the table. We don't have time to rehash it all, Allan. And in fact, this is the period of the show where we get a little backed up with text messages and overlapping themes and everything. So real quickly, for those who woke up and they're kicking themselves that they missed all of the content earlier, Allan, never fear, there's ways to catch up on Tool Talk.
We have got you covered. Tool Talk Radio is a very popular podcast around the world, I'm happy to report. And they can just pop over to tooltalkradio.com and they can follow us on Spotify, YouTube, and any place else that you get your podcast. And the cool thing is you can follow along with people literally from Spain to Iceland.
There we go. Yeah. Kind of, and maybe that's how do we get them interacting, Allan? I guess.
I'm waiting to hear some. I'm waiting for a good home repair question from New Zealand.
That's what I'm wondering. Fun. How do you keep the boa constrictors out of your plumbing?
Yeah,
and things like that. So yeah, exactly. So we'd love to hear from you, folks. We love that you're listening, but it'd be even more fun to get some pictures and some video.
Interact with us.
Speaking of interaction, in a minute, Max, you said we got a couple more texts that we got to address, and we got to circle back to our great moments in building history. But before we do that, let's talk about our good buddy Jay Hill with Big M Roofing and Remodeling. And Jay is, he's a busy guy because he is all about the exterior protection of your home, from roofing to gutters to siding to windows, and all interior and exterior remodeling except kitchens and bathrooms.
Do you think he was an egg tosser?
He could be. He's got skilled hands, I guess. Is that required, Alan, for egg toss?
One would assume. I'm just avoiding the obvious comments.
I don't know how you connect. I don't know what's obvious between egg tossing and slinging roofs. Maybe I'm missing something.
Jay's probably slung a lot of things.
Okay, all right, we'll ask him that off the air. Anyway, but Jay is always 5 stars with the Better Business Bureau. He is a GAF Master Elite installer. And always, 5 stars with good housekeeping, all of it. And he's one of the top-rated roofers in the in this entire region, and with good reason. GAF has high standards. These are roofing systems that they're installing. These are so well engineered that they offer lifetime transferable warranties. And as you and I have experienced in our own homes, Alan, because we both have a Big M roof on our homes. It saves money on your utility bills. Your house is actually going to run more efficiently. Mm-hmm. And also what sets Jay apart is the fact that he is a former insurance agent, which is hugely helpful because sometimes we have problems with our we may have to make a homeowner's claim. There may be damage to our home. And the process of doing a homeowner's claim is no picnic. And it also requires expertise. So Jay should be literally the first person you call, and I'm not exaggerating about that. Get in touch with Jay. It's a free consultation, and he's going to walk you through the process and look at the damage. And if there is a path forward to make a homeowner's claim, he can help you with that entire process. And it takes something that's very maybe intimidating and daunting and turns it into something exciting. And because if you can make that claim, it's going to save you thousands of dollars. But the other thing we love about Jay is he keeps his prices competitive because he has a low overhead and he deals directly with his customers. So when you call Big M Roofing and Remodeling, you're going to talk to Jay. So give him a call. You can call him directly at 901-484-5645 or go to bigmroofingandremodeling.com. All right. Before we steer back into our great moments in building history, Max, I guess we got a couple more follow-ups or
just more of the same people, but more contributions.
Okay.
Norman Rockwell said that a hummingbird's heart rate could reach up to 1,200 beats per minute.
Okay, I'm doing the math. What is that per second, Alan? Are we talking? What is that? That can't be 200 beats per second. Am I?
Yeah.
How is that even physically possible? Boy, you don't give these guys caffeine.
Well, what do you think sugar water is?
That's insane. That's just insane. The engineering that goes into that.
So they're like always on all the time.
Yes.
Yeah. What is it when they're just sleeping? Is it still that high?
No. They ramp down drastically, but when they're up dog fighting and sipping flowers and chasing gnats, the little guys they're burning some energy.
Do hummingbirds talk to each other?
Oh, they Twitter constantly.
What is that conversation like? Like, what would you compare that to? Like a toddler? Like, I'm just saying, it's like
it's like listening to elves giggle. It is a fascinating little. It is a very unique Twitter sound. When your ear is tuned to it, you can hear a hummingbird anywhere.
Wow! So they just live fast, move fast.
Oh yeah, look good.
I'm reminded of the quote from Blade Runner: "The candle that burns twice as bright burns only half as long."
Yeah, I can't imagine they have long life
expectancy. They don't make it 20, 30 years. They're very short-lived.
Okay,
they're very short-lived.
Not like the ancient parakeet from Australia.
No,
right.
No, they're not going to make it 120 years. No.
Okay,
and then
all right.
we got Denise saying that the footage of hummingbirds in slow motion is pretty cute because they like wiggle their little butts when they like flying around.
Yeah,
is that
like
how
an airfoil?
Is that what they steer with, Alan?
Yeah, their little back tail feathers. They're constantly adjusting how they're hovering.
And so guess what I've been looking up while you guys have been talking? It's just like, I gotta see the little butts move.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And they do.
It's interesting how subtle you think about it. If it's moving that fast, if it's got wings moving that fast, every little subtle movement.
Yes.
And you talk about a precisely calibrated bird. So, all right. Well, we knew hummingbirds would get a reaction. I suppose, Max, next year on National Hummingbird Day, we ought to announce it at the beginning of the show. So
that's fair.
Okay. Hey, but we were talking. Okay, so steering back. Thanks, you guys, for these texts. We appreciate those. And there's still time to get a couple more texts in here before the end of the show. But Alan, we were talking about the Elmwood Cemetery and just the fact that that there is a you walk through it and it is a walk through history. And what's interesting though is you could even say the evolution of how stone is cut and the choice of stone that was chosen, because some of these old gravestones, Alan, am I wrong? Some of them look like were they ever made of concrete? Because some of them look like they're eroded and you can't even read the dates on there or something.
You got a wide variety of materials out there. You've got marble, you've got regular stonework, you've got granite, you've got poured concrete, you have shaped and poured concrete, you have
there's statuary.
Decade after decade of statuary. The actual cottage itself is a Victorian carpenter Gothic. And that is the Phillips Cottage is the only known example of that in the area in Memphis.
Now, what's interesting about Elmwood Cemetery to me, Alan, because I was late in the game. I mean, I visited there. All of us are late in the game. The thing was built,
it's been a minute,
something years. But what you notice is everything is really well placed too. Like the architecture is cool, but they put it in the right spot, and they planted the trees in the right spot, as far as I can tell.
Well, that is a huge part of why anybody planning if you are planning a large yard, if you're planning a new landscape, how you want to lay things out or how you want things done, this is like a class. This is a master class in how to lay out your garden, the effective use of white space, because the trick to any presentation is not necessarily what you see, but what you don't see.
And it's also the way it ties in with. I think what's great about Elmwood is I have to believe that whoever did the landscape architecture was thinking, okay, it's going to look this way now, but what we're really planning for is what is it going to look like in 40 or 100 years or something like that. But what I noticed, too, when I'm there is the fact that they chose this. There's some cool rolling hills, but is it me or does the sky look bigger when you're at Elmwood? Like the sky is a feature, a decorative feature.
Well, again, it's not so much what you're laying out, but it is also what you're presenting and how you're presenting it. So if you've got a really big tree that has huge branches, you don't want to crowd it with too many other things that cut off the view of the sky. So when you walk through Elmwood, one of the just massive things that you will gather is they have over 1,500 trees on this 80 acres.
But I didn't know that.
There are over 1,500.
Wow.
All right, Elmwood is meticulously designed to present a certain effect, and that is the effect of the stroll. This is a Victorian era. This is when, if you remember back to things like, My Fair Lady and all that stuff, it's elegant to take the stroll.
Right.
The little walk
with
through
your
the
walking
garden.
stick and your
Exactly, your top hat, your walking stick. And that is exactly what this is a great example of, because you should be able to take the leisurely stroll. Now, the fact that you're taking it through the entire history of the Mid-South is even better. And if you're on one of the tours, they're going to point out who and what and why, and it's astounding. It's an amazing tour. But the biggest thing is you're at peace. You're at ease. Elmwood was designed to let you feel at peace, to let you feel that your loved ones are actually at rest.
That's a good point too, Alan, because you shouldn't have this much fun at a cemetery. It's just an enjoyable thing to be at.
They have some amazing events at this thing, and some of them, on the surface of it, you kind of go, "Was that really appropriate?" And then you think, "Wait a minute, we know who's buried here.
Right?
That was very appropriate for that era, for those people, for that, So the trick is when you walk through this place, There's some beautiful Gothic architecture, and there's even better stuff to look at.
Absolutely. So another crown jewel of the Mid-South, the Elmwood Cemetery. If you haven't been there, go over there and take a tour. So, all right, we're going to take a quick break here, and Allan and I are going to convene and figure out what we want to bring you to close out Tool Talk Radio.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
If you need to go to the bathroom after this next series of tests, please let a test associate know, because in all likelihood, whatever comes out of you is going to be cold. Only temporary, so do not worry. If it persists for a week, though, start worrying and come see us, because that's not supposed to happen.
News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis.
I don't know what that has to do with home improvement, Max, but I like that one. And welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, everybody. Well, we talk about radon and who knows
Bathrooms.
Yeah. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Allan Gilbreth from darkoakmedia.com and our pal Max over there behind the glass. And it's been a pretty wide-ranging set of topics today. I would say if you haven't been to Elmwood Cemetery, or if you haven't been there in a while, take a tour. And I think they have that special... what do they call that, Allan? The reenactment that they do where they have people in costume, and I feel like that's an October event.
That is a October-long event where you can go take a literally historical tour of Memphis and meet and greet its past.
It's cool. It's well worth it. It's affordable. It's a neat trip, and go over there and check it out, and support Elmwood Cemetery, because it is really a great institution here in the Mid-South. So, well, Allan, we've teased this for a month. We better get this. We better get to this because, but we're calling this the Harmonious Home. And actually, I think Max, you might have given me the idea for this conversation. And basically, it's what I'm thinking of with this is basically, okay. So let's face it. Let's suppose you got a family of 4 or family of 5 or something. Every single person in that home has their own priority in the home, like in terms of, okay, well, like me, don't get in the garage. That's my turf.
Right.
Or I care about, you care about certain things. Your wife cares about something, the kids. And when that's in conflict, Allan, you do not have a harmonious home. If you have somebody that's constantly being, indifferent toward, like, that little pet peeve, and you keep leaving your dishes unwashed in the sink, or you know what I mean? But I feel like just being considerate of what's important to other people is a huge thing, man.
I think you're talking about just basically functional ergonomics of the home.
Talk to me.
One thing I have discovered, and I'm a little controversial with this. I got asked one time on a TV show, what's the secret to a harmonious home? And I said, don't touch my stuff.
That's a good one, yeah.
And, I was like, really? But let me execute that with don't touch their stuff either.
Well, exactly.
Let me point out, just because I have the router that'll rip your fingers off doesn't mean, your crafter over here, you touch those craft scissors, you might get murdered in your sleep. Very simple. If you have, territory, respect the fact that everybody else has territory, and make sure that their territory works for them.
And here's what I would say about that, too, because the other part of that is, of course, now we have overlapping territory. Everybody uses the kitchen. And but the thing is, okay, my wife's a perfect example. There's things that are a priority in the home to her that maybe they're not as much of a priority to me. However, I'm the only one in the house capable of doing anything about it. Like, it's like, I would love to open up this wall over here, or I would love to do, she may really want that. Well, I should just do that. There's been a lot of home improvements I've done that they weren't necessarily something I cared that much about, but I did it because I knew she would like it.
Right.
So, and I'm like, and that scores you a lot of points, and it also wins a lot of goodwill. And so maybe that, it'll inspire her to stay out of my garage,
Yeah.
Now, I think,
and with your kids especially, they need to be taught that.
You mentioned the idea of making sure it's like working for them too, and so I think that's also brings up the idea of not enabling certain behavior that would be okay for them if they lived in isolation. For example, if you Like, for example, if you have a roommate who's used to living by themselves and they're a slob and all of a sudden they aren't doing the dishes, well, it's not proper for you to just encourage that unsanitary behavior.
Yeah. Well, wait till you have roommates, Max. I learned pretty quick in my early life, Alan, that I didn't like roommates. So, yeah, you're right. Well, and teenagers, I mean, I'm sorry, teenagers, if you're listening, you guys are guilty of a lot of this stuff. And
well, they haven't
and it's not
learned
just
yet.
being a slob. It's like, don't bang your stuff into the wall and continually, don't tear this up. Or
Well, it's really a matter of value.
Yeah.
It's really a matter of value. Of the trick to the quote unquote harmonious home is what is valued, what is not. And another thing I'm going to add is what is still functional.
Mm-hmm.
Because as you live in your home, and I'll even look at Max, our minimalist over here, he thinks he's a minimalist. He is a hoarder waiting to happen.
You keep saying that you're challenging him.
I'm absolutely challenging him because we all started out that way. We all started out with, barely enough furniture to get by. But then you add one thing at a time. And before you know it, 20 years later, you look around and you go, all right, I got a path through here.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe this stuff needs to go. Maybe you need to let go of a few things, or maybe it's time to reorganize because I will pick on my own garage for my own self. And, there reached a point where I get home, I unload the truck, I throw everything in the garage, I close the door, I go in the house.
Right.
And after a while, that organizational system you set up 10 years ago has now, well, let's just say, lapsed.
Yeah, it's been overrun.
It's been overrun badly. And nobody did it but me. So I'm not picking on anybody else in the house but myself. And it's just, it happens. So every so often you need a good reset day to go through the kitchen cabinets or go through the garage or go through the crafting room. And, sometimes you got to be a little brutal about it and go, I meant to do that 10 years ago. I ain't done it in 10 years. Either do it today or get rid of it.
Well, and another thing, too, is like there's a subtle nuance here, but I think another part of the harmonious home is like if you're good. Okay, my wife's very good at organizing. She's good at purging when it's necessary. Well, even though the garage is my space, it's not the worst thing in the world to have her come out and give me her opinions or give me ideas or and then maybe even vice versa. I could go in the kitchen and say, well, what could I do to improve, your
I've seen you in a
storage down
kitchen.
there
You
or
need
whatever?
to stay out.
Yeah. And it's like, but I'm just saying, and then also thinking this way about guests that come to your home, making your house inviting for them. And, I don't know. It's just, I just think there's something to be said for thinking of the other person. And actually, your house is going to improve anyway. The results are all going to be good, and you're going to keep people happy. And
well, you've thrown out a tiny little nugget of information here that I'm going to really expound on and go, folks. It's entertainment season.
Yeah,
it has begun. Grilling out has begun. The ball games have begun. People piling into the living room. It's begun. Make room for it.
Yeah, let's have so have a harmonious home. But Alan, it's time to get out of here, man. Boy, these 2 hours flew by. So we're out of here, folks. On behalf of my buddy Alan Gilbreth and our pal Max over there behind the glass, I'm Joe Thorderson. Thanks for listening to Tool Talk Radio, and we'll see you next week.
Now go thank a hummingbird.